Hi, my name is Jessie. Welcome to my channel where we'll be discussing the Power Platform and everything in between. So for today's episode we'll be looking at bookmarks and also the use of various actions within buttons. So we have page navigation as well as drill through actions as well. The latter are fairly new features of Power BI. So to do this, we're going to have a look at this data set here. So if I just have a look at the table view, we have a list of superheroes and various metrics for them, so gender, eye colour, race, etc. I'm going to link the data set below, but we're not really focusing on how we get this data in, but for this scenario it's a SQL table, but actually you could be using an Excel file on your desktop. It doesn't really matter too much. Now we're going to put our shoes, ourselves in the shoes of a user. Now, for myself particularly, I quite like a user to land on a landing page and then to bring them through to the various pages that I may have on my report. So I create this landing page, and the reason I like to do that is you might want to give your user more information, maybe allow them to filter before entering your report. So have a look at a few ways we can do that. So I create my landing page. I'm just going to pick up the title like so. We're going to use that title here. And then what we'll do from here is we're actually going to use a button. And we'll put that button on our page like so. And what we'll say is that when our user clicks this button, we're going to use an action here and actually use this new page navigation. And we'll say, just give a user a bit of a hint, so click on this button to go through to the report, like so. And now what we'll do is we'll give it a little bit of button text as well, so we'll say go to report, like so, and we'll make that writing slightly bigger, just to make it a bit clearer. And I also want to change that colour actually to a bit darker as well, like so. So we can test this now. To test within Power BI Desktop we use control click, and that didn't do anything, and I think I've just forgotten to actually say where the destination is, so we'll change that to superheroes, like so. And now we can test it and we see that we go through to our page. Now from a user perspective this is great. So imagine you had various pages in your reports. You can have a landing page with various tiles, as well as pictures or information, support links, etc. But now when we come through to here, we need a way for the user to get back to the original page that they were on. Now I'm going to use something slightly different here, so I'm going to use a home image instead, because I like using images within my reports to make it very obvious. So I don't need to use any text on that, because it's quite obvious what that is going to do. However, when I look at the action here, I don't actually have that page navigation anymore, so I need to create a bookmark. Now if I go back onto my home page and I go to view and then look at the bookmarks pane, so you can switch that on and off like so, I'm going to add a bookmark here, and what bookmarks are doing is it's taking the page as is and it's going to basically record that. I'm saying that when I set this bookmark up, I actually just want it to land on this page as is, like so. This page just has a few buttons, the button and the text box up here. Now what I need to do is actually attach that bookmark to this home screen button, and the way I do that is click on action down here and then click on bookmark like so and use the landing page like that. Give that little test, so control click as I go through, and I can see I can easily now traverse between my two pages. Awesome. Now, another way in which you might use this landing page is actually for your user to filter the report before entering. So I'm going to use this chiclet slicer up here. And for those of you that haven't used the marketplace before, you can click on these three buttons and click on import from app space and actually bring in a visual from the marketplace. So I have this chiclet slicer here, which I'm going to be using. And all I want to pull into the category is the publisher. So it's now actually pulled up the different publishers that we have. We're going to make sure that we have sync slicers appropriately used up here. So once we click sync slicers, we've got this two options here. So we can either sync to these different pages, either we want the filter to work on these pages or not. And do we want it visible? So we only want the filter visible on this page for our example. We don't want it visible on superheroes, but we do want it to sync both. So although we don't have any data here, just for best practice, we're going to sync all the different pages like so. So now what does this actually do to our report? If we now select a couple of visuals, so let's say we a couple of publishers even, and we go through to our report, we now see there are 10 superheroes for the 3 publishers that were selected. And this is a great way of actually creating bespoke reports for your users, because now they can click and come through. So the next cool thing we're going to look at is the ability to kind of show and hide filters. This is a great way of actually having loads of filters on your page, but your user not having to have them clunk up your page. So let's see how that works over here. So first of all, I'm going to chuck a bunch of filters on the page just to show how this would work. So I'm going to basically layer them on top because I'm going to use show hide. So let's say I want to filter by alignment, for example, and I'm going to keep this quite messy on purpose. So maybe I want to filter by the gender. Maybe I do want the publisher on there as well, because I might actually want to show various publishers. So of course when I come through right now, I've only got the 3 here. And then perhaps I want to put race on here. Oh, superheroes, I mean that one doesn't have a race, so we'll go for hair colour. We'll do hair colour as well. Maybe even eye colour, like so. Okay, just to make this page have all the different reports, I'm just going to clear this filter here and come through to my report, and you'll see all of the superheroes and all the various filters that we have. In fact, I'm just going to make them quite long so that you can see all the different options. So they're actually just slices on there. So I clicked that one by accident. Okay, and then this one here, which is the publisher, and then this one here, which is the colour, like so, and the eye colour. Now, what I want is I'm first going to input 2 pictures onto here, and this will become clearer. So you've got your home page up there if you want to go. Now we're going to insert an image, which is a filter icon. So when I click this filter icon, I want these filters to pop up on the screen. Okay, so they're always there. I'm just going to show and hide. And then once I've done my filtering, I want them to go away because I just want to look at my report now. Like so. So just put my close up here. Now if we think about this, when we click the filter icon, we want to show all the filters but not the visuals, and then also the close icon, right? So now what we utilize if we come up here is this selection pane. So what we can do is we can start hiding and showing stuff within our report that will actually be as we are when we click the filter pane. So as we said, when we click the filter pane, we don't want our visuals on the page anymore. So we've also got a table there, but we also don't want the filter icon there anymore because of course we've clicked filter. That's actually the other one there. This is how we want our page to look when we click on the filter icon. So now that I've shown and hidden, I'm just going to make that a little bigger because it's a bit too small up there actually. Even bigger, so just a tiny bit this way. Okay, I'm going to go through to bookmarks and I'm going to add that bookmark, and we're not quite looking at our options just yet, but we're going to call that filter. Okay, so there are various options here, but we will cover those in this video a little bit later on. So now so at the moment I haven't attached my bookmark to anything, but I've just said that when you click on filter, I'm going to use this when I attach it. Now we've set that up and we can just test that. So we go to the landing page and that shows everything. We go to filter and that just shows our filters. Now we're going to set up the filter that the bookmark happens when you close the filter. So when we do that, of course we want the filter icon to show. This time we do want our visuals, but we don't want any of the filter icons to show. So we're going to hide all of those slices like so. And there's one more just there and here. Ooh, I'm hiding the ones I've hidden. There you go, there you go. Okay, I am doing the inverse, so let's hide them all. Like so. Okay, so now, probably going to put that in a better position as well, so I kind of probably just want it there. So now, when I actually close, I want this to be shown on the screen, so I'm going to close that. Like so. And now let's go ahead and attach to our filter icon. So we're going to click on filter, click on action, and we're going to say when you click on that, please apply the bookmark called filter. So now we can control click and test that. That's now shown all our filters on the page, and when we're done we want to close that, and our action for this one is actually called close. And we can give that a little test as well, like so. So now what we're going to do is have a look at some of the different options that we have in the ellipses for bookmarks. So I've just got this textbook from the actual Microsoft website, so we can see a bit of a explanation of the kind of differences between the these ellipses here. So the first thing I want to say is when we look at these options here, the first one that you see is update. This is a really important one. So for example, if you added another slicer and you wanted to make sure that your slicer is also going to be in your filter pane, you need to add the slicer and then very carefully click the ellipses and click update. If you click the bookmark itself, it's just going to go to the bookmark, and that can be quite fiddly, so that's one thing definitely worth looking into. You can rename the filter, you can delete the filter as well, and then you've got these various options here. So data is whether you want the Power BI report to actually keep your data properties. The display property is whether you want it to keep the spotlight and visibility. So of course here we're actually using current page, so it's exactly where we want it. We're not using the data properties, and we've got all visuals. So when we want to use this spotlight feature, so spotlight is a way in which we can highlight a particular chart. So for example, here we're just showing that, and this could be a part of our kind of story as we move through. So now I'm going to add this, and I'm going to say it's the spotlight that I want to show. Okay, so now I could add a button on here, and I could say I just want it to show me that spotlight. So let's call it this bookmark, which is called spotlight, and what we'll do is we'll add a button text that say click on me. So it's a way of telling that story. Click on me. Okay, just check the action there, so it's on spotlight. So now when the user clicks on that, it's just gonna hone in on that. Another great new property that is the drill through. Now this is a pretty new feature and very exciting. So what we'll do is we're just going to bring through that table, and we're just going to bring through this as a drill through. Now this drill through here is what we're going to do is we're going to add lots of information about superheroes. So we're just going to show everything that we can. The idea is that you might want your user to actually come through and look at information about the superheroes on a very granular scale. I'm just going to make sure none of these are summarized, so they are a line by line item. So we've got height and we've got weight as well, which are textual values. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make this a drill through page, and the way that we do that is, let's say we want to drill through on, say, publisher. Okay, as soon as that happens, we've got this back button. So we also don't want our user landing on our drill through page without actually being on the page through the drill through. So we're just going to hide that. Sorry, make that a little bit bigger, and sorry, hide this page. So this is our drill through page. title. And of course you could be showing various information on here. I'm just going to hide this one. And so what we see is that wherever we see publisher, we can now drill through to all the information on the Marvel Comics superheroes. Okay. Now the tricky thing with this, and we could go back by clicking on this button, is that the user needs to really know that this exists, so you need to right click drill through. So what Power BI has now is a new feature. We're just going to put a button to demonstrate that, where the user can actually click a button instead to do the very same action. So the way we do that is we're just going to have a button right there. We're going to put an action and we see this new drill through, which is still in preview, like so. And the destination is the drill through page. And the button text will say, see data. Click to see data. And you'll see that actually, before we go through and click it, it's grayed out. Until you've actually selected a publisher, you can't actually go through, right? And it says here, to drill through, this is the page of the drill through, naming the drill through, select a single data point from publisher. So we look in here and we say, okay, where can I see publishers? Okay, here, DC Comics has publishers. There's only one there, so we'll keep it a bit more interesting. We'll pick, let's go for this. So DC Comics here has 64 publishers. So now, instead of clicking right-click drill through, we can click on this, and we have to control-click to test. We can go straight through and see all the superheroes that we have in DC Comics. Another great feature of Power BI, and I'm just going to duplicate this page to show this, is the use of Q&A. So I just call this the QA page. So I'm just going to delete this in order to make some space. I'm going to put a new button here, and we can expose this for our users, which is amazing. So we're going to click an action, and we're going to use this Q&A. So it just says Q&A. Just go here, Q&A, and we'll give some button text and say, click this to ask a question. So if a user now clicks this in here, what they're going to be prompted with is this thing where it says, ask a question about your data. So in order to use this effectively, you need to make sure you have synonyms, etc. covered. So we're not going to look at how to use this Q&A feature in detail in this video, but just to show how we could say, so for example, we could say count of superheroes. Just tell me how many there are. So I didn't actually understand this one because I spelt it wrong. So say superheroes, count of heroes info, because that's the name of my table. Okay, let's use one of the predetermined ones. So how many heroes info are there? So we have 203 superheroes, so I can just save and close, and actually I can actually use that within my report. Okay, so the very last thing that we haven't really captured yet, which is quite a basic one in the actions. We just have a look at all of the actions, because we've looked at bookmarks, we've looked at drill through, we've looked at page navigation, and we've looked at Q&A. We can also have a web URL. So for example, if we want the user to go to Google for whatever reason, we can use that, and then we can rename that to say go to Google just for a test. Then we can control click and see that it. Let's try that again. So I'm going to paste a URL like so. Just take this google.co.uk, use it like so. So you need the HTTPS hyperlink, and we can see that now when we click on this, it opens up Google for us. It's a great way of linking in information as well. I really hope you enjoyed that. Please do leave some comments below. This is my first video ever, so feedback is greatly appreciated. Let me know what else you want me to talk about. It's we're in the lockdown right now, so this is our first quarantine video of 2020. So yeah, if you've got any feedback, please do get in contact. Thank you so much. Bye!